Well, welcome back to another episode of the Deadass podcast. I'm Bryzy, here today to talk to one of my good friends, Brandt Cogill.
Hey,
And
mate.
how are you?
Excellent.
That's good, mate.
Excellent.
So, as I've said before on previous episodes, what I like to do is just have a chat to anyone that wants to come on and have a bit of a chat about their life. And the idea behind it is, like I've said before, I've done thousands of funerals over the years, and I've heard thousands of eulogies. Eulogies from people who have passed away, from the families that share them, from a third party point of view, as opposed to the person who actually passed. And some of those stories are absolute bangers, and there's those keynotes that are missed. And it's just want to give the opportunity for people to share some of those amazing stories that they've experienced in their life, so that one day maybe when our time comes, there's an opportunity to share those stories, or they're recorded forever for
Yeah.
people's memories.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd love to hear a podcast that my great grandfather did, like something like that in his own words.
100%.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then to also get an experience of that person's life at that point in time as well,
Yeah.
because people don't really have an understanding of what generational things that were going on back then.
Yeah.
Don't really have an understanding of it. Like minute details that can be
Yes.
shared can make the biggest difference in the details of people's lives. They don't even understand that.
That's right. I mean, I found my father's diary, like it was just a small journal years ago, and it was all dated, and it was just what he was doing day to day, and just small notes and just small entries. I just found it so interesting,
Yeah.
that that's what he was doing at that stage in his life, and I would have loved, like, obviously the concept that you have with this, I would have loved to have heard how he spoke, and as a young man, as an 18-year-old, like
That's exactly right. Because
yeah.
even reading those stories or those journals of those people's lives, you don't get their tone, you don't
No.
get their language, how it was spoken, how everything
Yep.
was pronounced. So
The jokes.
the jokes, that's
Yeah,
exactly
yeah,
right.
yeah.
And it
With
could have
their
been
sense of
more,
humour.
yeah, they're a lot more formal or something
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're exactly on the point there, and that's the whole emphasis is to try and promote that, get people's stories out there, and then just go along with the ride and enjoy it.
Yep. I think it's a
So
brilliant idea, mate.
yeah, thanks, man. I
Brilliant, yeah.
appreciate that. So as we were saying, like obviously that's why we got you in here today. I'd love to
Yep.
hear some of your stories, mate. Obviously, we've known each other through the background of martial arts and being as you're one of my instructors for jiu-jitsu, and also just a friendship as well that we've accumulated over the years. But I would love to hear. I know you've got an extensive martial arts background. Your journey from what got you into it, leading all the way up to the fact that you opened up your own martial arts school, a dojo, and then adapt that into mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu, and then from that evolved into your journey now with what you call the Warrior's Way.
Yep.
So please, mate, we start from you're a young fella, and
Right. Well, just a point of interest too, maybe. I've actually written my own eulogy.
have you really?
Yes.
That's good. It's very
Well, it was part of a coaching program that
Yes.
I did. So I get business coaches or personal development and all that kind of stuff over the years, and that was an exercise that I had to do. Is how do you want to be remembered?
yes.
Like I guess it's kind of a bit of an exercise in knowing where you want to go, like your vision for the future and how you want to be remembered. So because I guess that's what was really important at the end of the day, like who you were remembered for, and
course,
what your
definitely.
life meant, and what they're going to speak about at your funeral. They're not going to talk about how much money you made or or what you achieved. It's going to be more about what kind of person you are, who you influenced, and why. So I wrote it, and I spent a bit of time on it actually, and I don't know if I should have, but I let my daughter read it.
Yeah.
And she read it. She started crying. She's
Oh,
like,
did she?
I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. It's just
Oh,
like,
No, but they as soon as you start reading it, you're going like you're picturing that
You're
you're
going
actually
there.
doing. Well, you picture that you're actually doing it.
yeah, that's
So
right.
you could essentially put yourself in the shoes of someone that's actually up there reading it to a congregation of mourners. Your first thing is that you're probably sitting there going, "Oh shit, this could be."
Well, I guess that's the second part of the exercise too. It's not like just about where you're going or what's important to you, figuring that out, but it's also like it puts things into perspective that
Yes,
this is going to happen one day.
of course.
So like, how are you going to live? Like
Mm.
like you've only got so much time.
Of course, that's exactly right. And look, I'll be the first to admit that
Mm.
even in my industry, like I'm constantly reminded of our own mortality.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
even I'm constantly reminded of it daily. But I'll
yeah,
still let it slip. Like I'll
yeah,
go into this, wake up, do the work, do the daily routine, go to bed, wake up, do the daily routine, and
yeah,
not take a second to actually sit back and just appreciate the things that are going on in your life and that are going around.
yeah.
Even though I'm constantly reminded of it.
Yeah, well, I guess you get blasé about
Oh,
it, like, and
100%.
it's like driving a car, we
Mm.
forget that we're speeding along, at 100 kilometers an hour.
Yes.
Like it's no big deal. We just do it every day.
Subconsciously,
Yeah,
just go through the day
go through the
driving without,
motion.
the
Yeah,
motion of it.
yeah. But you
Um,
see somebody who just starts driving a car and they're like, oh, panic stations, like,
yeah, that's
yeah,
exactly right.
yeah,
Everything's agitated. The turns
yes,
aren't smooth, and that
yeah.
could be a description of life itself as well.
Mm.
So on that note, what got you into martial arts to start with? Like you've been doing. I know you've done it as a kid. What?
You're gonna laugh.
Yeah.
It was the Karate Kid.
Was it
Yeah,
really?
no joke. Yeah, yeah. Like I was like 7 or 8. I think it was like I was actually maybe even younger, 6.
Yeah.
My grandmother taped the Karate Kid like VHS, like, and every time we went to grandma's house, I was like, put Karate Kid on, and I'd watch it like 2, 3 times, and I'd know all the words, and like
And you could do that jump and kick.
yeah, man, that was like
Yeah,
it was
first thing.
practiced every day. No, and then like at the time, I was inspired by that and the whole story behind it as well, I
Yeah.
guess, and then there was the Ninja Turtles, were coming out
Oh, of course,
at that
yes.
time, Ninja
Yep.
Turtles, and then all Bruce Lee movies,
Yep.
Enter the Dragon, Fist of
Oh,
Fury.
I actually look. I'll be honest too. Like I absolutely loved anything Bruce Lee.
Oh man, he
That
was the best. He was the best. Yeah.
I remember I used to emulate some of the stuff that he would do, that 1-inch punch and all that sort of stuff. Oh man, that was so cool.
Yeah, the nunchucks. Get the
Nunchucks, the
nunchucks.
nunchucks.
That's why I
yeah.
like Michelangelo, because he had the
Yeah,
nunchucks
yeah.
like Bruce Lee.
Yeah, and he loved pepperoni pizza.
Yes, he liked pizza. He was badass. Yeah. And then I guess like my family all come from Central Queensland, and so all country people. Camp draft, bull ride.
Oh, wow, yeah, okay.
Graziers. My grandfather's a grazier. My dad, was into rodeo. My uncle was a back-to-back Australian champ, rodeo. My cousins are in the PBR.
Wow.
It's like, I guess a lot of people that know who my family are and know that I'm, Danny's son. They're like, oh, do you ride bulls, mate? I'm like, nah, I do karate. They're like,
That was really going a bit left field there, wasn't it?
Yeah, a bit of a black sheep there, I suppose. But I tried it. I went and, rode bulls and did all that kind of stuff, just to, be a part of it all. But it just wasn't for me. I went back to karate.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
But
where.
you started getting bloody good at it too.
Well, that's where I started. My my first instructor was in Emu Park.
Yep.
And he ended up, as years went on, he ended up being my stepfather.
Oh, wow. Yep.
And I did my first grading on my 8th birthday, and I just loved it. And it was, there wasn't a lot. There wasn't much UFC or anything around.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
was
of
all,
course.
and I just, I guess I just wanted to compete.
Yep.
I followed, it was just all about karate for me, everything. Except for that one year I went riding bulls. But, I think I got my black belt when I was 13.
Wow.
And I just pursued it, and I had a bit of a knack for it just because I, love training.
Yeah, you had the dedication to
Yeah,
it.
dedication.
Yep, dedication. Obviously, yeah, commitment. You obviously had a talent for it as well.
Mm.
Now, was it always competition from when you first started, or was it more of the style of it to begin with, and then it went into competition? Because you
Yeah.
got very good with the competition too.
Yeah, I think you're right there. It was really only like it was just to be like those guys, like the
Yes.
Karate Kid and Bruce Lee, and to be able to move like that and to do those things, and that was what really inspired me. And then I guess when I got a little older, I just got more competitive. Maybe
Yep.
that testosterone started kicking in.
Yeah, it starts flooding in.
Yep, and and I went to my first World Championships in South Africa
Wow.
in 2003.
2003.
Yeah, it was 2003.
Yep.
Yep. And like
How was that experience? Explain to
well,
us.
that was my first time overseas.
Was it really?
Yep. And
And you get and a place like there too, like
South
it's not.
Africa.
Yeah. What was that like?
Yeah, it was full on, man. It was a massive experience for me. I went with the Australian team, and
Yep.
I didn't like. I felt like I was a bit of a passenger, I guess, at the start. Like,
Yep.
maybe a little bit imposter syndrome. I didn't feel like I was really meant to be there.
Okay. Yeah.
I did all right.
Yep.
I did pretty well. I didn't really get anywhere. I mean, I think I got through a couple of rounds, but it was really just my introduction to the level, of where where it needed to be.
And how often did they do world championships? Like
Every 3 years.
3 years. Okay.
Yeah, but this is just in my organization.
Yeah.
So, so in terms of karate, there's there's so many different styles of karate.
Yes.
But then there's also different organizations within those styles as well. So
Okay.
if you're a part of a small organization, in a small style, then the world championships aren't that big. You're not
Yes,
really
okay, I see what
exposed to a
you're
lot of
saying.
people. So I think the organization that I was with was one of the biggest in the world.
So the talent pool was, right out there.
Yeah, it was big.
Yeah.
But then there's another level again. So there's the AKF, which is the Australian Karate Federation, and they're a pool of all the different organisations and styles come together under a unified rule set.
Ah, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and so that's what got through to the Olympics.
Ah,
Yeah.
rightio. Okay.
Yeah. So
Yep.
so that was the high level karate, and that's sort of where I went towards the end of my karate career to get
Yep.
that level.
How long did you stay competitive with karate? When did you finish?
I suppose I stopped competing. The last World Championships that I went to was in Jakarta in 2016.
Okay. What was that like going to Jakarta?
Yeah, it was all right. It was good. I was the Australian captain for that one.
Oh, true.
It was, I'd already started, training MMA and jiu-jitsu, and I guess I wasn't as focused or I was as committed.
Yes.
And I guess, after that last World Championships, that was number 7. So I'd done 7 World Championships by that stage.
Yep.
I kind of realized that I didn't want to keep doing it, and that jiu-jitsu and MMA was more, the focus.
Yeah.
The highlight of my karate career was in 2012.
Yeah.
I captained the Australian team, and we actually held the World Championships in Sydney in Homebush.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, at like the Olympic Park.
Yeah. Wow.
And so captained the team, and I had this recurring theme throughout the camp or throughout the week that we're all together, and I was just telling everyone that I loved them.
Yeah.
And it was
Nice.
just like, and we were all saying it to each other. It kind of caught on, and everybody just lifted, and we walked past each other. Love you, bro.
Oh,
Love
that's
you, man. Love you,
beautiful.
man.
Yeah.
Like, it was just I think it was the most successful Australian campaign ever.
Really?
Yep, with karate. Yeah.
Wow.
That's the best that we'd ever done.
Congratulations.
Yeah, cheers, mate. It was a great experience, that one. I actually I got 2 bronze medals.
Oh, wow. Congrats.
Yep, one in my weight division and one with the team event.
Yep. Okay.
So the team event was great. It was really cool, really good highlight. That
Wow.
one.
So you got to be a part of that, Australian captain of that as well.
Yeah.
And you took away some bronze medals as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's pretty epic.
Yeah, that was the highlight.
Yeah.
That year I'd competed in all the AKF tournaments. So I won, the nationals. I won the Australian Open. I went to Oceania. I went to Fiji and won Oceania. I won pretty much won everything that year. And then we went to World Championships at the end of the year and got to a bronze medal.
Wow.
Yeah, which is really good. I was really happy with that result. Yeah.
Yeah, I would be on a world level.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
amazing,
it was
mate.
pretty cool. Yeah. It was pretty
Shit,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. A lot came together that year for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what? So you were saying that by 2016, this is what you're already into your MMA career.
Yes.
And jiu-jitsu. When did you start Fitzroy Martial Arts?
2015.
2015. So essentially, you already had that established, and then you were actually still competing in the World Championships at that point.
Yeah. So I was doing a lot at that stage. I was my dad owns a swimming pool maintenance business.
Yep.
So I was running that for him. Running business I was new to, so it was a bit of a learning curve. We'd had our son, so 2 kids.
Yes.
I was running the gym.
Yep.
On the side.
Yep.
I was also training for World Championships.
That's a lot to take in.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a lot on my
Shit, yeah.
plate. And that was a big transitional period then from going from working, for somebody else to working for myself and
Yeah.
opening the gym.
And
Yeah.
is that what jumped you over or took the transition? You go, you know what, I need to do this full time myself now. So
Yeah.
is it more of you just sort of like dived into it, or is it more like you just made this decision that, you know what, because it's a very courageous decision to make, and not many people can do that. Like there is that safety net that people get stuck into where they set up their own business or they set up their own venture with something where they've got this safety net that's essentially draining a lot of the hours that they could potentially be investing into that new business that they have. And at some point, you've got to make that decision to jump all in to really progress from it, or you get stuck in this sort of like half foot in, half foot out sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a juggle, hey?
Yeah.
It's a juggle.
So, like when I say courageous, I mean, like I think that anyone that dives in and gives something a shot, my hat goes off to you, because that's a very hard thing to do.
Cheers, man. Yeah. We, I guess I'd already had an MMA fight.
Yes.
And, been training jiu-jitsu and was sort of running the gym. I was actually training at CQ MMA. Brandt Cogill owned it at the time.
Oh, yep.
And he sold it. He sold the gym. And there was this bit of a dilemma, like we all the guys that were training there. Brando was training there at the time as well.
Yep.
And I remember driving. We all wanted to have this meeting. Like we all wanted to stay together, but
Yes.
So I was driving to this meeting, and on the way to the meeting, I was like, "Why don't I just open a gym? Why don't I just find like a warehouse or something, and we can all just chuck in, pay the rent, and we can all just train together."
Yeah.
And so I sort of said that at the meeting, and then everyone was like, "Yeah, well, we're in."
Yep.
And just by luck, maybe just talked to the right person, and I found a venue, and we all just started. It was a back alley. It was a real fighter's gym. Yeah.
Yeah, like you had to fight to get into the gym.
Oh, man.
Or fight your way out of it.
Yeah, it was cool. But we, we'd, built some momentum, and we were getting to the point where it was a 1-year lease.
Yes.
And the lease was coming due, and I said to Leah, my wife, like, we have to make a decision. We either got to be all in or all out. Like,
Yeah.
we can't keep doing this because I can't keep up this pace.
Yes.
And so we thought, well, let's just go all in. So I gave notice to my dad.
Yep.
And he was like, oh, that's great, but I don't know how you're going to do with an MMA gym in Rockhampton, like maybe in Brisbane, but I don't think it's going to work. Or at least small businesses, they fail, and like, you got a good job here, the security.
Yeah.
I was like, thanks, Dad. And
Dad's doing dad things.
Yeah, yeah.
They just want the best for the kids.
Yeah, but
being protective.
Yeah, so that's kind of spurred me on a little more.
Yeah, that little like, F you, Dad. I'm going to show you. I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yeah, I'll show you. Yeah,
I've had moments like that too.
Yeah, 100%. So, so I gave notice, and no matter how we looked at it, whichever way we looked at it, and how we did the math and everything, we couldn't afford it.
Yes. Okay.
But and I remember having this conversation with my mum, like, we can't afford to do this, like, to sign this lease, on this new building, and and she said, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? And I said, well, they'll probably just kick us out. She's like, and then what? I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just go back to being a mechanic, and she's like, so you might as well just have a go then, hey.
What do you got to lose?
What do you got to lose? So I'm like, yep, righto, that was enough.
It's just one other person's way of looking at it, or in getting you to look at it the other way like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? What's the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah.
Give it a crack. And then you can look back and go, yep, I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad we took the risk. And
100%.
And it was like, I remember the goal was just to pay the bills, just so that we could live. And it was, I think it was 2 weeks, and we could pay the bills.
Yep.
Yeah. It all came through.
It came through.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you didn't look back. And then from that point.
No, it was a success. Fitzroy Martial Arts was a huge success. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. The first time I came on with Fitzroy Martial Arts was with when Nick and Matty Med were doing some private training with you.
Yeah.
And they were telling me about it, and I was actually looking at something like that, and so I was just tagging along as a third person to jump in for a while there. And then Nick ended up having a fight, and then there was that sort of break in between. But the whole time I wanted to actually, I loved the idea of jiu-jitsu. I just thought that was just fantastic, and the concept of it was like right up my alley. And it took me, like I was saying to Cooper the other day, it took me a good 2 years or something before I actually built the courage to come and do it. And I don't know why, but it was just one of those things. But yeah, it was still a great decision though. I'm glad I jumped in. It's one of those things. Glad I did it in the end though.
Well, I heard your conversation with Cooper, and you were talking about how you went through and you did it, and you had this overwhelming emotional feeling, like and I guess it's just like an emotional release of all this tension, and it comes out in your body, right? Like,
it does.
The body, it stores memory, it stores tension, it stores so much, and when you have a realization, or when you go through something and you overcome it, it starts coming out, like you shake, or you get an emotional response, or something happens, and that's real change. That's growth.
Yeah, and it was fantastic. It was like, and like I was saying to Cooper too, it wasn't like it was an emotional, like I was upset because I just got the shit kicked out of me or choked out of me. It was a release of like stress and anxiety and just all this crap that had built up, and it was just like a weight off my shoulders. I walked out of there, and at that point when I walked away, I didn't have a care in the world. I didn't have an issue. I wasn't in a thought in my head. Any personal dramas, all gone out the window. At that point in time, I was just like, it was like a new me. It was like I was reborn. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good, man.
That's why I couldn't highly recommend that to enough people. Just to even just have that one opportunity to give it a crack. Yeah. And the hardest part is trying to encourage someone to go along and do that first one. You only need one. You just need one time to experience it, and then once you felt it, you want that feeling again. And I and then I remember waking up the next morning and going, "Fuck, I'm sore." I'd never felt like
Yeah.
muscles on muscles that weren't.
Yeah.
They were like sore and tense and fucking everything. It was,
Yeah.
but it was still the best. That was definitely one of the best releases I've ever had in my life of just tension and stress and everything.
Yeah.
I couldn't recommend enough to people. And then it became like, it became my thing. Like I could have a shit day, and then I know that I had training at 5:30 in the afternoon or 6 o'clock, whatever it was, and I'd be there that afternoon, and then by the end of that, I felt like $1,000,000 going home. And because a lot of the time I'd do it on my way to home. So it was great because Mrs. probably knew I wasn't going to be pissed off or annoyed or anything when I was coming home Wednesday night because I was doing some rolling before I got there. So
Yeah, that's so cool.
so it was good. But so you so what got you started in jiu-jitsu? Was it the MMA training that got you started in that?
Yeah, I guess like I just want to keep challenging myself and keep on and growing, and I remember trying jiu-jitsu for the first time, going into it was CQ MMA, and I thought, I've been training for 20 years, karate, martial arts. I got this. This will be fine, and I got in there. I'm like, some white belt's choking me out. He's been training 6 months, and I'm like, oh, humble pie. And
it does that, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I was like, oh God, I got to learn. I got to go back to the beginning and start again, and and I just dedicated myself to it, and
how'd you and you just gelled to it too, didn't you?
Well, I just love it, like I think anything that you enjoy, and for me, it's the challenge as well, and I think jiu-jitsu especially because it's just so hard, like it's so physical, and there's a lot of because there's a lot of challenge and hardship, and you have to be humble, like
yes, definitely. Because if you don't, people will humble you. There's no way around it. You will be humbled.
And I think you have to have a certain kind of mindset to continue doing jiu-jitsu just because of because it is so difficult. And I guess I've just never been one to quit.
Yeah, and also too, I think it's like there is constant. It can wear you. You've got to be accepting of the fact of defeat. Like, that there's people that are going to choke you. You know there's people that are going to submit you. And you've just got to be open to the fact that that's going to happen constantly to the point where, but it helps you progress and make yourself better. There's nothing worse than,
There's so many analogies, to life through martial arts, and particularly, in jiu-jitsu, being comfortable in uncomfortable situations, There may be an instance where you're just not on, and maybe some white belt taps you, or and then you've got to be like how do you handle that? Like, is that going to break your ego? Or do you just take that with a grain of salt?
Of course.
And congratulate them for doing a good job, and so I guess it builds your mental resilience as well as maybe keeps your feet on the ground, like keeps you grounded.
Yeah. And like the level of playing field too with these because it's the fastest growing martial arts ever.
Since karate.
Since karate. Yeah, since the Karate Kid.
Yeah, since Karate Kid.
And so now you've got these people walking into the gym with no traditional experience at all, but they've been learning from YouTube, instructional videos, all that sort of stuff. And they come in, they tell you you're a white belt, and next thing you know, they're doing like bolos and rolls and trying to heel hook you. And
well, this is, I guess, has always been a challenge for me. Like, so I open an MMA gym, and I start teaching jiu-jitsu, and I'm a blue belt, and so imposter syndrome yet again.
Yeah, of course.
And really, I was never, deceitful about, being better than I was, or all I had to do was know one step more than the people I was teaching.
Of course.
you know, so I was just open with people, and what I knew, and I could help them with and learn. And there wasn't a lot of jiu-jitsu, and there was certainly no, you know, black belts in the area.
Well, I mean, it's only really just evolved now. Like even now, currently, as we speak.
Yeah, well, Rocky's
yeah,
always been a bit of a dry spot for jiu-jitsu, you know,
yeah.
and but it's grown a lot, you know,
Oh, it
in
has
the last
definitely.
5 years. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's just good to be a part of that transitional phase too, isn't it? Like being one of the being involved with that group of people who essentially set it up in the area.
yeah, yeah. That's cool. So you know, we run the gym. We're training. You know, I guess the main reason that I opened the gym was for the love of martial arts, and
Yep.
I just wanted to train and compete. You know, fight and coach instead of work.
Yep.
So it was just a way that I could immerse myself in training and fight, and I didn't have to go to work.
Yes. Yep.
So you know, when we first made it happen and we realized we could pay the bills, it was a dream. You know,
Yes.
it was just a dream. I was just going to, you know, to training every day. I was coaching a few people. You know, like it was relatively small. And then obviously, I just wanted to fight, so I was just, you know, getting fights and turned pro.
Yep.
And the gym grew. We added a fitness side to the gym. And you know, we trained some really, you know, some good athletes as
Yep.
well.
Definitely.
And it was you know, just a dream. You know, it was a dream come true, and I felt like that was that was everything that I'd kind of hoped to do. You know, like
Yes.
um, you know, buy a house, run a successful business. I've got a young family, got 2 kids. You know, fighting professionally. That was living the dream. You know,
Yeah. Tick the boxes.
ticked all the boxes there. You
Yeah.
know, yeah, really felt like like I was winning at life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Mm.
And so you went through. You did your pro MMA.
Yep.
And then you sort of transitioned more to a coaching role. Hey. So
Yeah.
I know that you already had that with the gym and everything, but then you sort of started transitioning more to the people coming through. Is that what sort of inspired you to do the more of a coaching side of it, or was it because more of like the growth of the gym? There was more requirements of you at the gym, so you're sort of like in this paradigm whether you do your side of the professional MMA, or was it that you got this side here with the gym itself? What did you, what made you? This was sort of like the area where I was sort of like first coming into
Yeah.
training with you.
So there's a bit of a transition, I guess. You know, like I said, I was fighting professionally. I was,
Yeah.
you know, family man.
Mm-hmm.
I was coaching, you know, guys coming up. You know, Cooper was coming up. We ran a fight show.
Yes.
You know, I was doing some big training camps. You know, went to Thailand, went to Japan,
Wow.
and the workload just got bigger and bigger. The gym got bigger.
Yep.
And I was training and trying to be everything for everybody.
Yes.
You know, I was trying to be dad, and I was trying to be a coach, and I was trying to be, you know, the athletic coach, and also, you know, the professional fighter and the businessman, and you know, make sales and like do
So
everything.
so essentially, it all got started building up again to this point
Yeah,
where the amount of everything was starting to get right up there.
yeah, yeah. And it got to a point.
Come sort of like that full 360
Yep.
situation. Yeah.
Yep. It just built up over 7 years. We had the gym for 7 years. And I took like a real big fight for a belt.
Yep.
And, you know, I was just burnt out, I guess.
Yeah.
And I lost. I lost in a bad way.
Sure.
You know, I got split open, and it was. I felt defeated. I was humiliated. I felt like I should have been better. I could have trained more. I just really run myself down for it,
Yes.
and I kind of fell into a depression. You know,
Yes.
for a few years, just and didn't know what. I guess I was. One of my friends said, sounds like you're a long time retired, Brant. Like
Yes.
like maybe you should think about hanging up the gloves. And I just couldn't. Like
Yeah.
I don't quit, and
Yeah.
I'd always it'd been 20 years of competing, and I didn't really think about what would it be like to not compete. I guess it was like I was having an identity crisis. Like
Yeah.
who
Sure.
am I if I'm not a fighter?
Oh, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, like the whole reason that we were there running the gym and doing everything we were doing was so I could fight.
Mm. It's
Um,
everything that you've grown up to know.
yeah, and like you talking to Cooper, in the last podcast, and he's talking about like you're all in,
Yeah.
you're all in, like
Yeah.
that's all I wanted, and then until I didn't,
Yeah.
until it was over, and then like I'm like 38 years old, and I'm thinking, like I'm gonna have to be fighting guys half my age that are hungry, um, and I can't keep up this pace. I have a family, I have a business, so like I'm training out at Rockhampton,
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
don't
It's a
have
bit of a
the
bit
same
hard too.
yeah,
Yeah.
the same opportunities that some of these guys are training in Sydney and like UFC
Yeah. Of
gym and all
course.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So and I've done a lot of training on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I've had coaches, but a lot of it I've done on my own without anyone,
Of course.
So it was just not sustainable, and things had to change.
Yep. Yep. I mean, at least you had enough, um, you know, sense to know that you had to do something.
Mm.
I mean, there is those people that just can't get out of that rut.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like, I mean, look, I mean, you're not gonna. It doesn't walk away without scars. Obviously,
Mm.
there is, the after effects of walking away and having to try and transition into the next part of your life,
Mm.
and you do struggle with that sort of stuff, and that's completely understandable from a person outside looking in. But excuse me, but you did transition and take on that more responsibility of coaching more, focusing more time into the gym, and you did, you then also promoting fight nights and charity events and stuff like that
Mm.
as well. Highly successful too, I must say.
yeah.
Yeah,
We've had some great events.
definitely.
I sort of went from you know from competing to like I was down.
Yes,
I wasn't doing great,
sure.
and I thought, well, everybody else needs me because I've been focused on myself, so I'll just drill hard for everyone else.
Yep.
And I knew that I wasn't good. I knew that
Okay.
I had some problems, and I had to work through them. And I just thought, well, I'll smash this, like smash this, And I just thought it was another challenge, but it was probably like one of the hardest things that I've ever had to go through. Like
Yes.
that trying to claw my way back up out of the hole, out of feeling depressed. It was terrible, and I'm just grateful that I've got good people around
Yeah.
me and strong community. But I realized that I didn't want to keep coaching at the gym. I didn't want to keep
Yeah.
doing it. I guess the reasons why we started the gym in the first place just weren't there anymore.
Sure. Of course. Look, everything transition, things change, people's perceptions and people's outlook on things change as well. So to say, and look, also too, like a gym is a place of solitude for people. It's a place where people go to vent. It's a place where people go to escape some of the emotional things that they might be going through and bits and pieces and stuff like that. So at one point you can have a lot of people with a lot of emotions and stuff running through those as well, which would be put onto you as the coach. So you're not just also trying to deal with the fact of your own things that you're going through as well, and get back out of that metaphorical hole. The hole that you're discussing, trying to climb out, but then also carrying the weight of the other people's things as well. That can be a lot in itself,
Yeah.
and but you did, didn't you? You come out the other side a better person, in your. Would you say that you came out feeling better and stuff like that?
Yeah.
You took a bit of a change in direction, outlook on life, the way that you want to promote yourself
Yeah.
and what you wanted to do to help people.
Yeah, I guess like something something that I've sort of always known is that you know life can only be understood looking backwards, but
Yes.
it has to be lived moving forwards.
Yes.
It's only after you've done you realize why, how the things that have like why the things that have ended up the way that they have, you can look back and go, yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
But it's hard to see into the future, right? So looking back over it now, I can see why and how it all worked out the way that it did, and
Yes.
I'm grateful for it all. I think what really turned it all around for me was the charity boxing.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah,
Yep. Okay.
so
That's
we'd
good.
done Fitzroy Fight Night, and we did Fitzroy Fight Night 2, and then we did Rockhampton Charity Boxing,
Yes.
and it's where we, if you like for your listeners out there, if they haven't heard of it, it's where we get a bunch of guys and girls to raise money for for men's health.
Yes.
In the past, it's been Movember, and they don't have to have had any experience. They train up for 8 to 10 weeks, and then they can have a fight. And
Yeah.
it brings a lot of people together. We've raised over 65,000, I think,
Wow.
for
Congrats.
for Movember, and it's just been a great event. So the first one that we put on, we did it at Flamingos,
Yep.
and it was myself. I was the main event.
Yep. Yep.
So I sort of trained the fighters. I think I trained like 10 or 11 guys. And then I promoted the event, and I was also fighting in it at the main event.
So you took on the role of doing everything once again.
Once again, and I was fighting Jonathan Taylor. We just did an exhibition match. He's a pro boxer.
Oh, wow, cool.
He owns Archer Street Boxing.
Oh yes. Okay. Yep.
And he's legit, man. He's like Oceania champ. And,
Oh wow.
yeah, I didn't have much of a chance because I had three boxing
True.
matches. Yeah.
Oh
I did
wow.
like 12 pros or something like that.
Holy smokes.
So so he's a tough guy, and he goes, oh, I think I'd like to do this, bro.
he's a Kiwi, is
He's
he?
Kiwi. Yeah, I won't hold that against him. But he said, oh, I don't know if there's anyone that I could fight. And
Sure.
I said, well, I guess we could fight. And he goes, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, all right.
So he was hinting it.
Yeah, he was
subtly.
hinting it, and I was like, but I had the same idea. Like, there's nobody around that would
Yeah,
fight him. I
of
thought
course.
I'll fight him. So, and I guess like I got to the event and I wasn't good. Even the weeks leading up to it, it was kind of it was probably the worst that I was. It was the end of 2 years. It was 2 years since I'd had that last fight where I'd lost, and I felt sort of down and lost my way, and then and I thought, why am I doing this to myself again? Like, I'm putting myself in this situation, coaching, training, competing, and running this event. Like, I was massively triggered by everything that had happened, and I was running on just cortisol, I think.
Yeah.
And I remembered stepping through the ropes thinking, why am I doing this? My son was in my corner. My daughter was there. My wife was like hanging onto the medic's arm. She was,
wow.
She
Yeah.
was like, please let this go well. Like,
Yeah.
because she, a lot of people that are depressed, they struggle, but all the people around them feel
Are
it.
going through the journey with you as well.
Exactly. My
100%.
wife was one of my biggest supports. I love her so much. She saw it all through, with me, all the goods
And she was with
all the
you
bad
through your
stuff.
journey as well.
Yeah,
with
that's
the whole
right.
Gym and all that stuff as well.
Yeah. She's been right there the whole time, and so she's like,
Shout out
let
to
this go well.
Shout out to Leah.
Go, Leah.
Go, Leah.
You're the bomb. And
That's the first shout out of the day.
oh
There we go.
yeah. Well, that's the best shout out of the day, I think. So
you step into the ring.
Step into the ring, and I didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
And I even remember thinking during the match, like, I could just be lazy. I could just, I could let him win. I could just be a little bit lazy. It wouldn't take much for him to win, and it'd be over. I'd be out of here.
Yeah.
It'd be done.
Yeah.
No one would care.
Mm-hmm.
No one would think anyone of it. They'd,
Yep.
like they'd be like, "Oh, good on you for jumping in there."
Yep.
Like Jono's really good. So like it wouldn't have made any difference.
Yeah.
And I'd never thought like that. I'd never had that mindset going into a fight before,
Sure.
like a defeated mindset.
Yeah.
And when I had that thought, I remember it was like slow motion. I stepped into range and Jono hit me with a right hand and put me on the canvas. It was a hard right hand, and it was all like slow motion. There was Jai was in my corner, my son, and
Mm-hmm.
my wife was there, and all the guys that I'd trained, and like all my friends, and it was like a switch. It
Yeah.
was like, no, you're fighting. Like,
Wow.
get up. Like it was. This is on.
Yep.
And it changed straight away. Straight away, I was like, I have to fight. I'm gonna fight. And it was like figuratively speaking, and also literally speaking, like I literally had to fight.
Yes.
But also metaphorically, I had to fight for myself. I had to
Yes.
fight for all these guys. They were there doing it. They were stepping in the ring for the first time. I had to show the heart that they showed. And once I changed my mind, everything got better. And that was the start. And
Yes.
so we did our 3 rounds. He didn't end up knocking me down again, so we went to a decision.
Yeah.
Obviously, he won the decision
Yeah.
because he's awesome. But I felt like I put on a good performance. I felt like I fought well, and it was like it was a massive weight off my shoulders.
Yep.
It was. I felt like because I made the decision to fight, that everything else from here is going to be easier. And it was.
Yeah. It's funny how sometimes, and I'm not advocating people to go out and punch yourself in the head, but sometimes it's funny to think that one thing, like a punch in the head, can be enough to give you that motivation and that switch to.
Yeah.
Oh, the same thing can be said for when first time I went and got jiu-jitsu, I got
choked.
choked.
Well,
It was
that
like
was
a
the same
switch.
for you,
Yeah,
right?
it
Like
was a
when you
switch,
came
yes.
in and you had that response, like this weight lifted off your shoulder. It's the same for me. I just felt
It's like it's almost like it was like, hey, it's okay.
it's okay.
It's okay.
You're all good. You
Yeah.
can get through this. You're
Yeah.
tough. You're strong. Like you're better than you thought you were.
Yeah.
I think that's where growth comes from, isn't it? Where you achieve something that you didn't think you could do.
100%.
Mm.
And then also look back and use that as the knowledge to move forward in it as well.
It can be a huge lesson.
100%.
So that's when I kind of started having all these realizations, like, oh, I don't want to keep running the gym. I'm not happy doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to be a fighter anymore. But like I guess throughout my life, I've used like coaches and personal development to help me as a fighter.
Yes.
I found that some of the mindset stuff that I was working on and doing and changing the way I thought about myself and becoming more self-aware, I was becoming a better fighter. So I was like whatever it took to be a better fighter, and it was the self-development stuff. I was meditating and I was doing a lot of things to make to improve my performance, and it helps probably the most out of anything.
Yeah.
And I sort of got obsessed with the personal development.
Yes.
And then it kind of, in a way, it changed over the years where I wasn't doing personal development to fight anymore. I was fighting to aid my personal development.
Yes.
It was the challenge that I was putting myself through, the hardship of the adversity to make myself better.
Yeah.
And so that was just, I think like that last fight was just another one of those things that, developed me and made me better.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, this is what I really want to do. This is how I want to coach people. And I don't really like the term life coaching, like a life coach role, but I guess I've done, I've mentored so many kids and so many people over the years through the gym, through Fitzroy martial arts, through karate, and helping people to improve their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Like Cooper, a lot of people, Cooper's great because of his fighting ability. He's such a good fighter. It's rare that you find talent matched with a work ethic.
Yes.
He's got both, and and I think it's great that he's this good fighter and that he's pursuing his dream, being world champ, and I'm 100% in his corner.
Yeah.
But I care more about Cooper the person.
Mm-hmm.
Like how his relationships are with the people around him. Like what he's going to do when he stops fighting.
Yes,
Like
that's a big one.
yeah, like because I don't want him going through what I went
Well,
through.
that's it. You know the proof's in the pudding.
Yeah.
You know exactly
So
what could happen.
yeah, and I guess I look at more like Cooper and I, our relationship is probably. I don't know, it's less and less. It's sort of been less and less like a coach student, more like a father son
Yes.
kind of a
Yeah.
relationship where I just want to see the best for him. How just so long as he's happy, I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want to do for other people. It's like, and I think that martial arts is just a great tool for that. Like
Well, I mean, I totally agree with you 100%. I mean, have a look at the people who use that stuff these days. I mean, you got some of the most he's bad for pronunciations today.
pronunciations.
No, I kept saying like influential. There we go. I got it.
Yeah, you got it.
Influential. People around the world. Some of the most high-profile people in the world as well. And what are they doing in their spare time? They're doing martial arts. They're doing strenuous things like jiu-jitsu, striking, and doing all the mixed martial arts. All these challenges, for their downtime, and they all publicly advocate it too.
Yeah.
You go see like Mark Zuckerberg does fucking
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu now.
Yeah,
He
I've
even
seen
went in a
that, yeah.
competition the other day.
Yeah, right.
And actor Tom Hardy, he's a blue belt,
Yep.
4-stripe blue belt or something. Then you had
Russell Brand.
Russell Brand, yeah.
He's a big advocate for like self-help and self-improvement.
Yeah.
He's
Is he
come back.
he's a purple belt or something?
Yeah, I think
too,
so.
isn't he?
Yeah, he come back from being a crackhead and
Yeah.
a lot of addiction and
Yep.
and now he's trained jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, the proof's there too. Like, people,
Yeah.
all those influential people.
And it's not only just the the physical act of doing it. It's a lot of the the ethos of martial arts and the mindset and
The discipline and
what it
and
means.
Yeah, the code of ethics and all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff that you want to put in with it, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just I think it's having a warrior's mindset.
Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah, and I guess so I'm going through this journey. I've had this breakthrough. Where okay, so now I'm feeling like much better about myself and where I'm at. I've redeemed myself.
Yep.
Some way of speaking. And now I'm sort of starting to get this possibility mindset. Like now, what could I do?
Yes.
Like I realize that I don't want to keep running the gym. I'm not happy doing that. So I still want to coach, but I want to just coach in a different way. I want to coach more, help people grow,
Yes.
either in business, sport, and life, and because a lot of coaching that I've had, it's been amazing. It's not only helped my martial arts, but it's helped so many other areas of my life, and I want to do that for people. When they get that light bulb moment, when they go,
Yes.
"Oh, why didn't I think of this before?" So I figure, I went on this men's retreat actually with my brother. He was sort of going through a rough patch, and I was sort of going to support him, but I was also going to, because I'm interested in personal development.
Yep.
Went along to this men's retreat, and we did this breathwork session, and I had this insight. I could do what this guy's doing.
Yeah.
I could do all this kind of thing, but I do it my way. I
Yes.
do it the warrior's way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was like, that's what I'm going to call it. The
They
warrior's way.
had your little epiphany right
Yeah,
there.
right there. Like
Yeah.
that's where it sort of come about, and I'm like, so after that, it just I hired a business coach to help
Yep.
me, figure out the reasons why I was doing it and how I was going to do it, and and it just made so much sense. It was really more in alignment with who I am now.
Sure.
Now that I'm not a professional athlete.
Yes.
So
Yep.
So, and I'm finding that I'm getting so much more joy out of doing this, for others and being, being of service than what I was when I was competing. And it was all about me,
Yes.
you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it feels like you're leaving a legacy too.
Yeah, I think that there's more purpose to my life,
Mm.
more purpose because I think serving others I don't think there's any higher form of purpose than a life of service.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the old
Mm.
saying too, isn't it? Something about leaving a life of service.
Yeah, I mean it's what a samurai is,
Mm.
like a samurai is to serve,
Yes.
and it's honor, and it's about the right way of being, and always improving, but not just improving in martial arts, but improving in yourself. So
And in all aspects of life itself,
yeah,
using martial arts as a metaphor in life. Yeah, with the the way that they do it, I guess you could say, using that same principles in all aspects of life.
yeah.
Mm.
You look at the true martial artists, you see the true martial artists. George St. Pierre,
Yeah,
like
he's probably like my number one go-to, I reckon.
yeah. I mean, he's a true martial artist.
Mm.
It's not doing it. He hated fighting, and it's but it's part of the challenge. It's
Mm.
part of if you want to live that lifestyle, then you have to face challenge. You have to face adversity.
Mm-hmm.
How are you gonna face it? How are you gonna show up? Are you gonna suffer it and sort of just try and get through it,
Yeah.
or are you going to charge headlong into it? Like
Yeah.
guns blazing. Like let's go all the way. I love that.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's good.
Mm.
And how have you been finding that? So you've had that epiphany.
Mm.
You wanted to start transitioning into this, like you said, just a way of encouraging people's life with this methodology.
Yeah.
Not so much a life coach, more of a coaching position, like sort of to help people in certain things. It doesn't have to be about life itself, does it? Is it more of a is it certain things itself, or
Well,
was it just the way that you look at things in life?
there's two parts to what I do now. So the Warriors Way, I guess, is supporting other men.
Sure. Yep.
Obviously with my own challenges and going through all that depression, that kind of stuff. I just want to be able to support other guys that are going through that. And so I like to connect people.
Yes.
Martial arts is a great way of connecting people.
It is.
And then just talking and having those conversations. Like I grew up as a country boy, and rural Australia, country people don't usually talk about how
Yes.
they feel.
Yes, of course.
And I figure maybe if I have a voice and I talk about it, then it'll give permission to other people that to be able to talk about. Oh, it's all right. It just makes it more socially acceptable.
I totally agree. And I think also too, I think nowadays, I think it's definitely a lot more open and accepting as well.
Mm.
15, 20 years ago, what we're discussing right now wouldn't be existed.
No,
Wouldn't be existing.
no.
There would be behind closed doors with a clinical psychologist,
Yep. Or in a
not-
bar.
in a
drunk.
bar, drunk. Yeah.
Drunk, yeah.
Using drugs and alcohol as a
Yep.
form to
Yep.
get out of it.
Yeah. It's a shame.
Escape it, sorry.
It's a shame that those deep and meaningful conversations, only come about when the inhibitions are taken away by drugs or alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the barriers. That's the only thing that's going to let those barriers down.
Yeah. Yep.
So that people could actually open up about what they're feeling, and then next day they wake up, they don't fucking remember anything.
Well, they got
like,
an excuse then. It was like, I was just drunk.
mate, I was pissed.
I was pissed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Just
Nah.
sweep it under the rug.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but no, it's funny how now, and I don't really know what the switch was, but it's really good to see that there is this more of a change in that, where people are opening up more and have more resources available with what like you're doing yourself. Giving people essentially a place to go to, a place to open up to meet other people that are going through like-minded stuff, but be open about it as well. It's not, it's publicly known.
Yeah, I guess I'd like to, in the future, see Warriors Way affiliate gyms where people know that if you're a Warriors Way affiliate gym,
Mm-hmm.
then there's a standard, at that gym. It means that they're open to, helping and having these conversations.
Yeah.
That the level of martial arts is it's true. It's not about ego, and it's not about beating people up. They're there for the right reasons. That gym is there because they love martial artists. They're martial artists.
Yeah.
They're there for to better themselves and to better other people and to provide a community where it's safe to be able to open up and talk about how you feel.
Yeah.
I think that would be a great dream. So you can look up Warriors Way affiliate gyms all over the world and know what that means to go
Yeah.
there. You're like, they're cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're going to be good people,
Yeah.
and I think that would be a huge dream to accomplish.
Oh, and look, and it'd be cool, and like I was saying before, like that's a legacy
That's a legacy, yeah.
that's a legacy,
Um,
but also too, like I'm an advocate of somewhere where someone can go to and just let loose on some of their things too, like when just speak some of the things and have somewhere where there's an ear to listen to,
mm,
just sometimes that's all someone needs.
yeah,
They might just need somewhere to go and vent.
yeah, 100%.
And they've got a place. They could do that. They could go to one of these Warriors Way gyms and vent. Just to let the gym will have an ear for those people to listen to. Like for people to talk to.
And there's more platforms getting around too where that can happen. There's Project Blokes.
Yep.
They're a great bunch. There's another guy that I know, Jordan Meehan. He's starting out
Yes.
like the walk and talk.
Yeah.
Ross O'Reilly down at he owns beaches.
Yep.
The permaculture farm. He's always been a big advocate for men's retreats and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Shout
so-
out to those groups and blokes as well.
Absolutely, yeah, they're doing great work. And
Yeah.
they're just all good people,
Yep.
and it's just there's no judgment from any of them. It's just about just connecting with other good people, really.
And isn't it great to just know that there is those people around there now and they have those avenues for people to go to.
Yes.
And also, I guess the most important thing is to get that out there, to let people know that, hey, these things are available. I've seen over the years plenty of bad situations that have happened in the event that a funeral has had to take place, and it is terrible. And, unfortunately, it's the people that are left behind, the ones that are going to deal with what's going on.
Yeah.
So just to even know that there are these places available and what you yourself promote is just fantastic. It gives people that opportunity for places to go to catch up with other like-minded people, but maybe just to get a little bit of guidance as well and get a bit of an idea. Give myself a place. Back in the day too, you'd have people. What did people do back then? They find solitude in what, religion?
I think, the religion. For me growing up, the women used to go to like the CWA, like Country Women's Association.
Yep.
They bake and like all get around, talk, cry on each other's shoulders.
Yep.
And the blokes just used to go to the pub.
Yeah, but that's it. But I mean, like that's essentially like
That's how they do it.
how it initiated, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Women had the better idea, I think.
I think so.
That's
I think
what it
so.
sounds like, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
well, they're a lot more emotionally intelligent than men.
Yeah, that's it.
A lot more emotionally mature.
I'm just immature.
Well, do you know what though? It's more socially acceptable
Yeah.
for women to talk and cry.
Of course, definitely.
It's not socially acceptable.
No.
Not in our culture. It is in
No.
in other cultures. It is, but not in Central Queensland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's right. No, and these associations with what you're doing with the Warriors Way and that, this is all just new stuff. This is
Yeah.
only these associations, these groups that we've been talking about.
Pretty new.
They're all new stuff. These groups haven't been around for that long at all.
No. So as I said before, two parts to the Warriors Way,
Yep.
and so this is one side of things.
Yeah, sure.
It can get exhausting, having to try and lift guys and check in
Yes.
on them and make sure they're going okay. And I've had some guys that I've been really particularly worried about, and go to bed at night thinking, I hope this guy's all right.
Yeah.
And I've come to realize that I'm not a counselor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not responsible for these guys.
Yes.
I can provide a platform,
Yeah.
and I can, provide support, and I'm going to have to leave it there,
Yes.
and so I can't get too invested, because otherwise it'll wear me out.
Well,
And it already has started to.
Yeah.
And so, but I am also really interested, I think a good way of putting it is, people think of mental health in terms of good or bad. It's either one or the other. But it's like physical health. You can have a varying degree of physical health. You can be not so fit, you can be fitter than this person, or you can have a really high level of fitness, or
Yes.
you can be nearly dying.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, 100%. Yeah, it's not just one level.
No.
Yeah,
It's not one or the other.
Yeah, there's all different levels of it.
Yeah. So I really want to work with and help, and not just necessarily men, women too, that want to level up.
Yeah.
That have drive, that have ambition, that want, that run businesses. That I got a guy who wants to help. He wants a hand to start a gym up.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
because he's ambitious, he wants to go at it.
Yes.
And I want to be around that kind of person as well. I
Yeah.
want to be around those people that want to drive hard and make something themselves, and because that's the kind of person I am.
Yes.
And I need to be around those kind of people. If I can drag other people up to be a part of that, where we're driving for something, we're pushing hard. I mean, that's what inspires me, And
Yeah. The old saying is you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make him drink it.
Yeah.
And that's true to the fact of what you were saying before, with being being respectful to that. But also that's a good point in the sense of, and I never really looked at it like that myself either, is that you could have someone that's mediocrely, or here's my pronunciations again, but you could have someone that's just a flat line, like not so much negative or positive, just sort of, but just needs that little bit just to level up that one bit to get motivated. The same as like an exercise.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you think about, like, you probably know a lot of guys like this. I mean, I do, where they're just comfortable.
Yeah,
like they've got a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
They've probably got a couple of kids. They spend time with them on the weekend.
Yep.
They probably drink maybe a little bit on the weekends. They got their alcohol under control. It's not like they're not like alcoholics. They probably put on a little bit of weight. They're just
bit of the dad bod going around.
Maybe they still train, 2 or 3 times a week. And it's not too hard, but they're not really going anywhere. And if they don't have any ambition to go places and to do something big or to change or to make a difference, and I feel like they're just lacking challenge and a bit of clarity, like. And you get clarity about where you want to go, and who you are, like your values, what you stand for, what's important to you, and what would light your fire? What would make you really excited to be alive? What would make you want to get out of bed in the morning, at 4 o'clock, because you're excited to get started on this project?
Yeah.
We've all felt like that.
Of course, definitely.
We've all felt like that as kids growing up. It's just, we get to a point where, we've bought the house, we've had the kids, we've done everything that we thought that we wanted, and then now what? And it's like, come on, man, let's get some ambition. Let's go for something.
And have like and feel like you still have a little bit of a purpose in something that you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to be sitting there going, okay, I'm in my early 40s now. I've accomplished everything I need to do. What's next? Retirement? When I'm 60, what am I going to do in between?
Yeah.
Like, there is that period there where you go, shit, what am I doing now?
I don't know. I think it's like living a life of mediocrity. It's just like, it's a trap. You can get stuck there because things aren't that bad. You don't have to change.
No.
You don't have to grow or change too much because things aren't that bad.
Yeah. And we're not saying that that's a bad way to live or anything. That's not the case at all. That's a fantastic way to
live.
Yeah. Yeah, bloody oath. Good on you. It's just, we're talking like, if there is something little that maybe you want to do, it might be just to cut some time off off a sprint, or it could be go for a bit better of a gym look, or it could be It could be just to make a little bit of extra money in your business for the quarter or something. Just these little purpose things that just to keep that fuel going, keep that drive going.
Yeah, I guess it's like what's going to light your fire. Like it's finding that's difficult. Like a lot of guys don't know how to find that. Like what
and maybe they just need a little push in one way,
push in the right direction.
Yeah, or a little bit of guidance here this way, or.
Do you know what a big thing that I think that we lack is accountability?
Yes.
Like who's keeping you accountable? Like
that's fair call. Yes.
What happens if you don't do it? That's
100%.
Like, oh well, nobody's gonna know. Like I was gonna get up, half an hour earlier this morning, but I just slept in because I didn't tell anybody that I was gonna do it. Nobody knew. Nobody matters. I'm only disappointing myself.
Or like just even and I'm bad for this. Even just like leaving the room without making your bed.
Oh yeah.
I know that's a stupid one, but like for some silly reason, like I just get this thing in my head.
Too. Yeah.
Like if I walk out without making my part of the bed, I feel like I haven't accomplished for the day. Like I'm already one step behind.
We have a rule, and it's an unwritten rule in my household is whoever gets out of bed last has to make the bed. So if you get to sleep in, you have to make the bed.
Yeah, that's a good rule.
Yeah, so I'm always up and out of bed real early.
That's because you're motivated.
Well, I'm doing other shit, right?
Yeah, not because you're motivated to get ready for the day. It doesn't because you want to make the bed.
Yeah. I've actually been having cold showers.
I've had it in winter.
Yeah, winter.
Oh,
it's been. I used to do ice baths all the time, and I kind of slacked off a bit for a while, and then so I've been doing it, with with other guys, and showing them, I guess breaking through some mental barriers and that kind of stuff, and using ice baths to do it, and one of my mates who does it all the time is like, oh, every morning get up and have a shower.
Sure.
And I'm like 4 o'clock in the morning. He's like, yep, doesn't matter. I'm like, all right. So I think it's been like nearly 8 weeks. It's been 7 weeks.
True shit. How do you find that?
I haven't missed a morning. 4 o'clock, boom, cold shower.
How's that go for you?
I don't feel like doing it. I really don't. I wake up in the morning.
True.
Like, I wake up at 4 o'clock and I'm busting for a piss. And all I can think about is just an excuse to not get in the cold shower. Like I wake up thinking about it, and then I go and I have a piss, and then I whatever, I brush my teeth and I do some stuff, and I eventually come on. Let's go. It's time to go.
And then you just hear this scream and
yeah.
Can take your breath away.
Yeah. And we've got an ensuite. It's like right next to.
No, poor Leah.
Leah's like, she'd hear it every morning.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, gee. That's a good thing, but in itself, how do you feel afterwards? Though, do you feel
amazing?
Feel good?
Amazing. Yeah. Like you've done. I think that like in the middle of winter, and you're warm and cozy in bed, and you have to get out and jump in a freezing cold shower. It's almost like the worst thing that you could do, and if you can do that first thing of the day, everything else is easier.
I remember it was New Year's Day, right? And I had my New Year's resolutions, and I woke up and I said, you know what? I'm going to go down, I'm going to have a fucking cold shower. And I did. I went down, had a cold shower, felt great. And then I was like, I'm going to go for a run on the beach. New year, new me.
Okay.
Get out on the beach, go for a run, get back. What are we doing now? Well, we'll go and have lunch. So where are we doing? So I was staying down at the Pine Beach, staying down at Emu Park and lunch at the Piney. Anyway, no beer. I just had salad and steak or something like that. Anyway, my brother-in-law turns up. Shout out to Stebo. And he goes, oh, do you want to slip over the main bar, just have a quick beer? And I'm like, I've done all this positive stuff. Oh, one beer won't hurt. Anyway, so we sit there, we have one beer. I was like, oh, shit, that tasted pretty good. Might have another one.
Because you're in a good mood.
I was great. Because
you'd run down the beach.
I'd done everything.
Shower.
Yeah, new year, new me. I was on top of the world. Yeah. Next thing, a couple of hours go past, and we've been punting on the horses and all that sort of stuff. And I started getting the wobblies going. I'm like, fucking hell, what? I said to Steph, how many fucking beers have we had? He goes, we've had 15. Needless to say, I got up and I fucking strolled back to the caravan and passed out early that night. And I was like, well, that fucked my New Year's, didn't it?
Yeah, well.
Started great.
Yeah.
Just died in the ass after lunch.
Yeah.
But that was one of the best days I've had all year.
Yeah. You got in the mood.
I got in the
for
mood.
drinking piss.
I got in the mood for drinking piss. I got all motivated.
Gotta do
to
that
drink
every
piss.
time now.
I know. Have a
Yeah.
cold shower, go for a run, then have 16 beers.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's like
so-
got a big night coming up.
Yeah,
I'm
so
gonna
I
have a
guess-
cold shower and a run.
So I guess the moral of the story is
Yeah,
you got to still choose your battles and what you're doing.
I suppose so.
Yeah, in some things.
Do you know? I think really, you have to be your own coach.
Yes.
And you need to, I think everybody sets their expectations far too high,
Yeah.
and they're also far too hard on themselves if they fail.
Sure.
So if, you have an expectation on, say for example, we just use your example of like, New Year's Day.
Yes.
Well, maybe you could have just had, a healthy morning. Like,
Yes.
like I'm just gonna start the day right, have a cold shower, go for a run.
Yep.
And then that's it. Tick the box. You can go drink your beers or whatever. You've won.
Yep.
Like there's,
Yeah, don't be such a self-critic so much.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
maybe don't. I'm not advocating going and have 16 beers,
probably not.
but you could maybe go and have a couple.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then but you've still won the day. You got up, you did your shower, you did your run,
Yep.
you kicked ass in the morning.
Yeah. Kicked ass in the morning.
Yep.
Yep.
And then
Took names in the evening.
Yeah, took names. Yeah. Yeah. Or schooners, whatever it is.
Well, then maybe the next day, you get up, you have your cold shower, you go for a run, and you only have 10 beers. You
Yeah,
don't
that's
have
it. And then
16.
That's it. And then you find that happy medium. You work it out.
Oh, I think it's just small wins. You give yourself, realistic expectations. You get small wins and you build momentum.
Yes.
And with each win, and especially as it progressively gets harder, you build more confidence and you build more self-esteem.
Yes.
Self-esteem is developed by doing hard things, overcoming them, and you have esteem for yourself.
Yeah.
And then that's and it only has to start out small. I think the smaller the better.
And then it like snowballs.
Yeah, and then it snowballs. You just got to get the ball rolling,
Yes.
like in the right direction. And then once you get the momentum up, it's hard to stop.
Yeah, that's it. You
Yeah.
you get into a rhythm of it, and you get into
Yep.
a daily routine of it. And next thing you know, you're kicking ass.
Yep, and I'm sure everybody can relate. They've been in that mode where, like they were competing for something, or they've been at the gym every day, and it just turned into a habit, and it's just what they do.
Yeah.
And it's just finding that momentum. I guess maybe having a goal or something to strive for is great motivation to
Yeah,
get you
definitely.
going. But it's just the trick is how do you keep it going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree.
Mm.
Now, on the Deadass podcast here, we do have the old. Now, I got in trouble actually. Well, I didn't get in trouble. I got corrected because I've been saying, I've been saying Don Julio is the tequila I got here on the table, but
Yeah.
totally forgot that the J is silent, or it's more
Yep.
like a H
Yep.
in Aussie language. So it's actually Don Julio.
Julio.
Don Julio.
Yep.
Shout out to Haley, who's the one that corrected me on that. But
Go, Hayley.
yeah, she did
On you,
well.
Hayley.
Yeah, thanks, Haley. Making me look like a tool.
Did you need her help or?
No, well, it's funny. Like as soon as I said it to a couple of people, like, yeah, of course, it's Don Julio. So I'm like, oh,
We just let you run with it.
Yeah, just make me look like an idiot for a long time. So I'm just gonna stick it. So I'm gonna keep it as Don Julio now. So
Okay.
call it some old DJ. Now, every person that I've had on the podcast so far, I've done it by myself. Did you want to partake in one with me?
Yeah, mate. I listened to the other podcasts, and as I said to you before, you haven't actually had a drink with anybody. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna be your drinking buddy for today.
That's fantastic.
I'm
Mate.
gonna
So
have
you're
one
the very first person on this.
to have a drink with you.
Have a drink with me on the
Yep.
podcast.
Yep. We're officially christening the podcast.
This is officially
on-
christening it.
Yeah.
Yes.
On this episode. Here we go.
So I just do. This is a big nip. So I'm only gonna do half. I do
Okay.
half nips.
Yeah. Okay. That's good for me. Yeah.
That's like so. That's a good size.
Okay.
And just now, if you smell that, it smells like something that you could. Oh shit! I went a bit heavy there. That smells like something that you would run
Clean-
like a drag racing.
I was
car
gonna say
down.
clean your windows with.
It does smell like that.
That's window cleaner.
It does. It's like Windex.
Yep.
There's a bit of Don Julio Windex.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Thank you. To good health. What did you think of that?
Mate, for tequila,
It's tequila, yeah.
that's not too bad.
It's all right, hey?
Well, you know what? I've listened to 2.5 episodes.
Yeah.
You know, on those 2 that I got to the end on, you were like, "Oh, this is terrible." You know, oh. God. But then you drink it with somebody, and we both have it. And you're like, "That's
That's
not too
only
bad."
because I put my curtains up. I'm I'm trying to hide my pain.
Whoa, there we go.
What do you call them? Curtains? No, you put your barriers up.
Yeah.
Trying to hide the fact that I'm actually dying inside at the moment from old DJ. But thank you very much for having that with me, mate. I appreciate that. Now, like I was saying to you, every person that comes on the Deadass podcast. Now I have to clarify a couple of things there because Cole got the shits for me because I didn't give him one, but he didn't realise he was on the morning show. Now the morning show, MOURNING.
Yeah, okay.
Morning. Yeah.
Yep, I like it.
Thank you. It's a little play on words.
Yes.
They don't get one because they're funeral industry people.
Right. Yep. So they've probably already got one.
Yeah, they've already probably made one for themselves or whatever the case may be. But here you go, mate. So you get your very own coffin nameplate with your name on it.
Wicked.
So there you go.
Oh man, that's
The
awesome.
running trend has been putting them up on your bedhead. Yeah, there you go. Look at
On
that.
my bedhead.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah,
Cool. All right, so I'll put that on the bedhead.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Send us a photo.
I will. Hashtag Deadass Podcast.
Deadass Podcast.
Yes.
So thanks for popping in, mate. I really appreciate it, and thank you for sharing your story with us. A part of your eulogy, per se, you could say.
Yeah.
And to also spread the word of what you're doing these days as far as the Warriors Way. Now, the Warriors Way, you do have your socials, don't you? You have Instagram, Facebook. That's all available to people. They can go on there, search that, the Warriors Way, and they'll find your content there.
Yeah. I'm actually in the process of promoting a big camp at the moment.
Okay.
We're going to make a documentary. We're going to put 20 people through an intensive camp for a week.
Wow, cool.
Where they'll be challenged and you know, I guess it's going to be as fun as we can make it, but as challenging as we can make it as well. And then we're going to, at the end of the camp at the week, we're going to promote a fight show.
Oh, wow, cool.
So that they can have the opportunity to step in the ring and have a fight.
Yes.
These are going to be people with martial arts experience.
Yes.
And we'll promote the show and, you know, so we'll have another local show as well.
Oh, nice. Cool. So we'll keep an eye out for those dates. You let us know and we'll post them up as well for all the people. Yeah, mate. Thank you very much once again. It's great to hear it from your point of view as well, what you have to offer and promote and to help people in their journeys. Good on you, mate. And once you've finished all that stuff as well with your thing, we might get you back on if you want and let us know how it all went, what you went through and how it all turned out.
Yeah, man, I'd love to. That'd be great. Yeah.
And, well, thanks for everyone who's tuning in again. Thank you to all the people who've followed us, liked our pages, gave us some information, some questions, in regards to the funeral industry side of things as well. Thank you to people who have been supporting us by sharing our content out. We love you all. Thank you. You are the ones that we call the pallbearers because you're the ones that carry the podcast. As the pallbearers would carry the coffin, pallbearers carry the podcast. So thank you to everyone. We'll catch you around on the next one. Thanks, Brandt. Take care, mate.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Pod.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it. Cheers. That's awesome, dude. Cheers for that, man. That was like...